Hey guys, Christopher John here. I just wanted to take a moment to present the presentation that was supposed to be on the TV screen yesterday at our training meeting, just because there are some slides that might help. Plus, this will provide a really good review for you for what we covered, which is a really important aspect of empowerment. Your core identities form the backbone of your most empowered states of being. If you can embody those, you can accomplish virtually anything in any situation. So, to start the presentation, I think we started with a little bit of review from the previous week, and this is not moving forward. Let me try. All right, here we go. So there were 4 ways that to define ourselves in life. That was from the previous week. Our actions define us, our circumstances define us, our labels define us, and our judgments define us. And if we live for our actions, circumstances, labels, and judgments, in other words, live for the ways that we've been defined in life, we basically have no power, because those judgments can change, those actions can be good or bad, they can be judged differently. We have nothing solid to stand on in life. We have no way to fully express power. So this is the weakest way that we can identify ourselves, is through these definitions. There's nothing wrong with them, except they're just not that powerful, okay? Yet there is an unstoppable power that lives within you. Let me move forward. And that power we discovered in the form of these words, these qualities, these 300 qualities of being. And so I had you actually choose a number of these, 5 to be exact, to base to take a stand for, the 5 qualities that you most desire, admire, value, and you use those to create the ideal person. Well, it turned out that those 5 qualities were the 5 most powerful qualities in you in that moment, because you cannot even comprehend what these qualities mean unless you own them yourself. So you chose some qualities, and hopefully you practiced over the previous week, noticing when they show up. I think there were some practices. Yep. Noticing when your 5 qualities show up in yourself, in others, in movie or TV characters, in your pets. And then notice what it feels like when those external identities show up in you, those identities that were placed in you by the circumstances, by the judgments, by the actions, by the results that you create, and so on and so forth. And then, and the last practice was sort of an advanced one. So whatever those 5 qualities were that you chose, practice infusing those qualities into the various actions and circumstances that you find yourself in throughout your days. And remember, those circumstances do not define you. You define your circumstances. So that was the previous week. That set the stage for this week. And I mentioned before that there is an unstoppable power that lives within you. Well, that unstoppable power that lives within you can take on many forms. We don't have just one set of qualities that make up who we are. We don't have just one identity that is absolute, and this is who we are no matter what. We actually flow from identity to identity to identity throughout the day. And so the best way to discover those most powerful identities is to realize that there are some power states. There are actually 4 power states that we are driven through all day long when we're at our best. So the first one is called, it's taking forever. Let's see. Let me get all these up. Sorry for the delay. I don't know what's going on with my computer. So the first one's called the explorer. That's that part of you that loves to discover new things, loves to learn, likes to discover new things, like to have wow moments, aha moments, likes to play, have fun, and really get blown away. Then we have the achiever, which is a power state within you that loves to succeed, loves to win, loves to accomplish, and likes to be in the zone, just operating at 100%. We have the lover inside of us, which is that power state that wants to connect, wants to love, appreciate, give affection, receive, but it also wants to nurture and care for others. And then we have the reflector, and that's the part of us that likes to learn, okay? It likes to learn, ultimately likes to learn, and it likes to pray or meditate and have that sense of peace, okay, as it's learning. And it also likes to connect the dots, so you learn something new and you kind of reflect on, okay, well, what does that mean in terms of this? How can I use this in my life moving forward and things of that nature? Like, it really likes to connect the dots. So those are our 4 power states, and all of our drive comes from those. However, that's not the end of the story, because there's another aspect of identity work, which we have these 2 aspects of us called the inner child and the inner adult. See, the inner child in us just wants to experience things and enjoy things and express freely and fully. And yet the inner adult is that part of us that is so purposeful and on mission, and that's why we had our missions created. We actually have a why, a big why for doing the things that we do and feeling what we do and thinking what we do. That's the inner adult that accesses that why, and has that purpose, that sense of purpose. So if we have all of these different power states, and each of them has an inner child and an inner adult, you see that we end up with 8 core identities that come out of these. So we have an inner child explorer, we have an inner adult explorer, we have an inner child achiever, an inner adult achiever, we have an inner child lover, an inner adult lover, and an inner child reflector, an inner adult reflector. Now, so you can see the differences. For example, the inner child explorer, and I think I'm going to move ahead. Hang on a second. The inner child explorer is that part of us that I'm going to pull up the worksheet that you actually utilize. So this is the worksheet that you worked on. So your inner child explorer is that part of you. Yes, you love to explore, but you love to explore just for the fun of exploring, like discovering new things, like, wow, this is so cool. The first time you see a big building, how cool you feel, or when you experience like going super fast in a car for the first time, or with the top down in a convertible. Like, these new experiences are so cool. That's why people love to travel. That's that inner child explorer in them. Whereas the inner adult explorer, that's the one that has a sense of purpose, a sense of responsibility. So it's like, I'm exploring in order to figure out. So I'm going to research something. I'm going to see what I can find that will help me accomplish my goals, So we explore on purpose. Okay. The achiever, just like the explorer, has an inner child and an inner adult. So the inner child achiever is the one that just loves to go 100% beast mode, as Justin Ford calls it, all in. That's the one that just wants the ball in his hands at the end of the game, because he wants to play as hard as he can. It feels great feeling the sweat running down the side of your face when you're really all in. But it also happens with your work, when you're working at 100%, when you're just in the zone and just cranking it out. That's that inner child achiever, loves the experience of that. You love the feeling of working at your top level of capability. Now, the inner adult achiever, that's the one, again, that's on purpose, the one that takes responsibility for it. So you have something you want to accomplish, and so you're making sure it gets accomplished. You're taking responsibility for it. You're not leaving any stone unturned, because that inner adult achiever says there is no other option. We're going to make sure it gets done, period. So the inner child is the experience of achieving. The inner adult is the one that makes sure it gets achieved. Okay. And we go down to the, that was, again, we had we put the wrong word on here. So it's, oops. The third one was supposed to be, let me back up. This is taking forever to back up. Okay. So the third one was the reflector. And so your inner child reflector is that part of you that just loves the experience of reflection, loves learning new things, like how cool it is when you're receiving that download, or you learn that new thing that you start, being able to philosophize and think through and put the dots together. Just the experience of the learning, experience of the prayer, experience of the reflection. Whereas the inner adult reflector is that part of you that that does so on purpose. Like, I have a reason to reflect. I have to figure something out. So I'm going to reflect on it. I'm going to learn what I need to learn. I pray because there's something that needs praying for. So that's that inner adult that takes responsibility for it. And then the last one was the lover. And so the inner child lover is the one that just wants to hug everybody and just, that party that falls deeply, deeply in love and gets caught up in the moment. That's that inner child lover. It's also the one that wants to be taken care of. Whereas the inner adult lover, that's the one that wants to do the taking care of. That's the one that wants to nurture, wants to make sure that everything is okay for the people you care about. It's the one that takes responsibility. You love on purpose, or you're on purpose because you love. So again, I had you fill out 4 qualities for each of those core identities. And I had you again use the same list of 300 qualities, 300 qualities of being. These 300 words are what we used to fill out that form. And then once you're done filling the qualities in, I had you actually name these core identities. So I had you give a name for your inner child explorer, and I had you put the name down here. So for example, the name of one of my inner child explorer identities I call Ace Ventura Pet Detective, because that part of me loves to have fun and be silly, but also explore and discover new things, like Ace Ventura in the movie did. So I just used a fun, light name that happened to be a character from a movie. Okay. My inner adult explorer, though, I call Teacher Dude. And so Teacher Dude represents the part of me that wants to really takes charge of making sure that I know exactly what I need to know, discovering and learning what I need to know in order to teach others. And I want to help them to discover new things as well in terms of knowledge and understanding. And this, so Teacher Dude is sort of like my responsible version of the explorer. And so you do that for all of these. You give a name for this, a name for all 8 of your core identities. And when you're done, we have some practices that go with it. Okay. Again, sorry this is taking so long to get to the next page. I don't know what's going on with that. Oops. Okay, so practice number 1 is to notice when your core identities show up in you. Oops. Sorry about this. Practice number 2 is to notice when your core identities show up in others. Practice number 3 is to notice when your core identities show up in things like TV characters or movie characters. 4, again, notice when your core identities show up in your pets. So you can see that the most powerful practice you can have when it comes to becoming more empowered is just to notice the things that we're talking about. So notice when your core identities show up in you. Notice when your core identities show up wherever, And then the other part of it is to practice, again, infusing these into the various actions and circumstances you find yourself in throughout your days. So if you're talking to someone who you care about, practice infusing one of those core identities. Maybe you choose the inner adult lover and you choose to infuse that identity into the situation and see what it does with it. Because if you don't, you're going to let the circumstances catch you off guard and they will cause you to react. We don't want you to react. We want you to be powerful about expressing what's naturally in you to express, to make the difference that you can make. Okay, so those are the practices for the week. And we'll talk more about it as the days go by. Check back into the page. I have a few treats that I'm going to share with you over the coming 2 weeks as we go through this process. So good luck, and I will see you soon.